Welcome everybody to this second podcast on Health Devolution. I'm Sharon Driver and I work for Visions for Health. We're a healthcare network agency. We enable mutually beneficial dialogue between the NHS and the healthcare industry in order to improve commissioning and services for patients. I hope you enjoyed the first podcast, which gave a brief introduction to devolution and the potential direction of travel within devolution of healthcare. This podcast will give you a summary of our team's analysis of the political landscape around the devolution of health. First thing to note really is that the health devolution agenda was essentially driven by the last Chancellor of the Exchequer and the last Prime Minister. So we're in a very difficult political landscape now. However, the 5 devolution deals that were up and running or certainly in consideration cover nearly a third of the population, are covered by the Greater London, Greater Manchester, Cornwall, West Midlands and the North East devolution agendas. It's fair to say that each of those different areas of geography are at very different stages in terms of their speed and success with progress. Second sub point speaks to an important message, which is that the N, the national component of the NHS, remains exceptionally strong. And it's pretty unlikely that the end goal of devolution of health is to turn the English NHS into a devolved health system that's completely under the control of local government. Politically, there's no real indication that this ever was the aim, and certainly the view of the general public at the moment is though they may be interested in having a local control of services, what's really not up for negotiation is to have some kind of lottery, postcode lottery of treatments and services, or indeed any kind of variation in standards at all across England. So it looks like there will remain a national component to the NHS, certainly for the foreseeable future. The third sub point speaks to the fact that there's a lot of rhetoric. What's actually hasn't been particularly well articulated is what the expected outcomes are going to be. And most of the analysis that's been done when looking at the cost of change, for example, versus what can be gained in terms of efficiency savings, show that actually often the cost of change is greater than the savings that are made. So there is no right answer to how a health system should be set up, but certainly there does seem to be a wrong answer, and that is when you keep changing your mind around how the health system will look, because with every change, of course, comes extra cost implications. So the fourth sub point talks in terms of the health goals that cited in the devolution bids can be achieved without change to the current setup. So in reality, and SCPs, I suppose, are beginning to demonstrate this, local areas don't need explicit central permission to look at transforming their health services. The system's already set up to do that. What a devolution agreement does is give a political impetus to that activity. The fifth sub point here emphasises that even though there's been national government support, the decision to decentralise will always be a local political decision. And what you see is that there's no real evidence base around what the correct level, if you like, of decentralisation of within the health system should be. And in fact, most new initiatives have no explicit rationale around how they will improve health outcomes. What seems to drive the decision towards greater control of health at a local level is predominantly driven by the politics or the history and culture of a local geography. So more important really than whatever the evidence says is the best scenario, it's what the political will is and the political decision locally is that will drive a decision down this route. So if you are interested in knowing more or accessing this podcast again, please go to our Networks for Health link, which is networksforhealth.ning.com, or email my colleague Sarah at Visions for Health, and we'll be happy to pass the extra information on to you. Thank you for listening, and do look out for future podcasts from Visions for Health. Bye for now.